and back when they were Mets prospects, and those have survived, but they've survived in altered states. In other words, you wouldn't really want to present them to anyone. And also, I'll address something else here, which is I see a lot of people trying to get collegiate ball players on a CROLB, College Rawlings Official League ball. They don't hold signatures well. Get them on an official Major League, a Rawlings Official Major League Baseball. There are two other types of baseball that can hold a signature very, very well that are made recently, which are Rawlings Official National League Baseballs and Rawlings Official American League Baseballs. I have never seen any problems with either of those, but they've been discontinued. So only send if, like I know a guy who collects guys from the 50s on baseballs, and he will send official National League baseballs and official American League baseballs, and they're fine. If you have one, don't worry about it. Also, a lot of baseballs that were generic brands in the 1950s, 60s, and even 70s, they actually will hold a signature. I have a Preacher Row baseball from a signature on a baseball that was signed by a friend of mine. Got it and gave it to me. He got it signed in 1956. It faded a little bit, obviously, age, since it's 1956, but it looks far better than a lot of the signatures today that you get on the College Rawlings balls and the China balls, certainly. So be careful of what you use, and spare no expense for a baseball. Okay? Anyway, that out of the way, there was actually a YouTuber, KChastain3, who commented on one of my videos and said that card savers were an excellent suggestion. Well, I followed that up, and I did get a chance to talk with two friends of mine, actually email back and forth, who played Major League Baseball, and both of them said that, because I showed them pictures of a card saver 1 and a card saver 2, both of them said send the card saver 1s, not the 2s. Both of these guys played in the 60s and the 70s. So we're not talking recent guys here. And in fact, I still maintain that I still maintain sending with index cards is just fine, which is what I do, but I actually have to use a special brand because, as K. Chastain pointed out, if you use a really cheap branded index card like Up and Up, they could actually theoretically rub a signature off. But if you use a more expensive brand like Oxford, like I do, then no, it won't rub the signature off. But just to show you how good, and this is actually for the people who absolutely insist on using top loaders. Well, here is a demonstration with a card saver 1 about how, and this is going to be a 1977 Topps Stan Thomas. It's going to go out TTM in a few days. Let me show you. I'm sure you remember the Marvin Bernard card go flying out the top of a top loader and penny sleeve. It hasn't moved. So, what do you think of that, huh? That is what I call a nice tight fit. The only thing that you have to worry about with a card saver 1 or 2 is you better prep your cards. And you also better hope that the ink is dry, because that nice, wonderful, tight fit. And by the way, Beckett actually recommends sending cards in these card saver 1s and 2s. You better hope that the cards are dry, because if they're not, well, that's the end of the card. The signature will just get crushed in that really, really tight, snug fit. And you better hope it's not signed in gel pen either, because that'll destroy the signature. But if you're looking for a ballpoint signature, or if you're looking for a Sharpie signature and you know it's dry, just maybe you could put a little post-it note on there saying, remove card from card saver, let dry for a few seconds, because that's really what a ballpoint or a Sharpie would do. Well, that should be good enough. And I know that the only downside is these actually do kind of have sharper edges on the sides of them, and by the way, card saver 2 is the same way. So I know that one of the 2 ball players that I asked, he will open it up like this, and he is not really thrilled about opening them, but he is impressed with how well they do. And the best thing also about this is that you can't, you're not, even if you put it in a little bit like this, it's not going to go flying out. Didn't move. Anyway. So, with that out of the way, my next thing is a history of written versus typed, how that got started. I did a lot of research into that, and back in the 1970s and 80s, when this hobby was in its infancy for retired players, certainly, and at least for adult collectors, it wasn't just kids. You had guys. There were only, well, first off, there were only 2 ways to really get a letter. You could either write one, or alternately, you could type one on a typewriter, and then in the 80s on a word processor. But it was literally written versus typed, as opposed to written versus typed on a computer. So, what advantages did typing offer as opposed to written? And if you didn't have a hand problem like I do, the answer was not many. And I know that there were some ball players who have been deceased since the 80s and 90s who would only answer handwritten letters, because they felt that the notes that were typed on a typewriter were just either form letters, or somebody was just trying to get it out of the way, especially because with a typewriter you actually do have to expend more energy on actually punching the keys than with a computer. So that is how that got started, and ever since